Welcome back to another prolific, engaging, figured out those crazy titles. Welcome back to a good episode of the Immigration Stat Us podcast. I'm Myron Turner. This is episode 5. Today we are talking to a very, very, very special friend of mine. Her name is Claire Jones. She actually migrated, like me, from the United States, from Chicago, like me, and she's been here for about just under 5 years. So tune in. Let's hear her story. Welcome. So excited to have you here, Claire Jones.
Thanks, Myron.
My friend, my buddy, also from Chi-Town.
That's right. Also from Chicago.
Yes. All right, man. Look, I feel like this whole episode is a cheat code. But anyway, welcome to episode 5 of the Immigration Stat Us podcast. I'm your host, Myron Turner. Want to go give a big thank you to Ministries of Ethnic Communities, Uranga, and I want to thank Campfire Studios for opening this up for us and providing this great facility to get this done. So, also Navigators Group. Navigators. Shout out to Navigators. Let's get straight to it. All right, so Claire, where do I start? All right, before we get into this, y'all need to know Claire is a really dear friend of mine. The reason why she's here is because she's had, I don't know, almost like a where in the world is Carmen Sandiego type life. She's been around the block. Nope, that's not a good thing to say because that means something totally different.
Been around the continent.
You've been around the continent. Well, that also could be read incorrectly. So let's just say she's well-traveled. Also bad. Never mind. Moving on. Claire, let's go ahead and get into your story. Where are you from originally?
Okay, so originally I'm from the Chicago area and lived there most of my life. Then lived in California for a few years going to university. Mm-hmm. Then after university moved to Perth, Australia, and then here. So I'm from the States, but not always lived there.
Okay, so we, Chicagoland area, moved to California. What part of Cali?
Berkeley, near San Francisco.
Okay, and then Perth.
Yeah.
Australia.
Yep.
And then eventually New Zealand.
Yeah, I'm just making my way west.
Okay, you said it like you are a professional cowgirl and you're pimping cows for a living. Just making my way west. So many questions. So, why did you come to New Zealand? Let's just start with that. Why New Zealand in the first place?
Okay, well, I guess the most obvious answer is my husband's Kiwi, but he's also an immigrant. He grew up, so first 6 years of his life, he lived in London, in England. They moved here when he was 6, his parents and his 3 siblings. So he's lived in New Zealand most of his life, but we met in Australia. And how we got to New Zealand is a bit of a longer story, but
let's bullet point that.
Yeah, because he's from here is the major reason we came here and ended up staying.
Okay, so you fell in love with him where?
With Luke in Australia. In Australia? Yes.
Okay. And why were you guys in Australia?
We were working with the Christian mission organization.
Oh, so you're a missionary?
Yep.
Okay. And how long ago was that, roughly?
I was 2008 to 2017. So this about 5 years ago, we left that and came 4 years ago to New Zealand.
So you've really only been here technically 5 years?
Yeah, 4.
4 years?
Just 4.
I bet you'll have a story to tell, for sure. With the immigration process, like, I guess in that situation, you guys will be on, is there like a religious visa, right? Is there a religious visa that you can get?
Here? I don't know.
What was the visa status for you?
I came in on a tourist visa.
A tourist visa?
Yes. Yeah. So the longer version of the story is that we were living in Perth and kind of in a very quick turn of events felt like it was time to go. We were done with our time in Australia. So the plan was to actually immigrate to, like, for me to return to the States and for Luke to immigrate there. But we had just been to the States for about a year doing a sabbatical. So we knew it was all happening so fast. We knew we couldn't just leave Australia and fly to the States because they would stop him at the border and say, you were just here, what's going on?
Yeah.
Go back. So we basically by default figured out, well, we can't stay in Australia. We can't go to the States yet. So we need an in-between. Since Luke is from here and I was 7.5 months pregnant, we said, okay, we'll go to New Zealand. We'll have the baby there. We'll stay with Luke's family, and then we'll apply to move to the States.
Okay. And did you feel like the whole process was pretty seamless with immigration and how everything flowed?
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. They didn't, I worried a bit because we knew it would be difficult for Luke to get into the States in our situation. I worried that coming here, because I was 7.5 months pregnant, if you're pregnant and you're not from the country, from the States, they won't let you in because if you have your baby there, the baby's automatically a citizen. So I worried that might be true of New Zealand and that they might not let me come in because I was pregnant and I'd definitely, obviously, be having my baby here. So I did some research and I also called immigration and I said, so what if, hypothetically, someone is pregnant and entering the country and not likely to leave before they have their baby? Would you let them in? And the answer was, yeah, that's fine. Because I was married to a Kiwi resident. That was all fine.
Okay. Now, obviously, coming from the USA, you'll probably have a similar story as mine, but obviously you coming from... Well, see, I wasn't involved in like a missionary organization when I got here, even though I was doing missionary work as well, but nothing like as intense as you guys. So can you tell me about like that journey first? Because I'm pretty sure that is a little bit of a backstory there that ultimately led you to New Zealand as well. What was it like being in that organization? Or is that
No. It's hard to. I mean, gosh, I don't know. I could go on for hours. It was. I mean, ultimately, it was the best. Some of the best 8 years of our lives.
8 years. So, how many nations did you see roughly?
20 or so.
20 nations.
Yeah, but we
Jeez.
also, I think the thing that I loved the most about being in this community in Perth was, not only would we travel to and from, but the community that we lived with, the people that we worked with were from probably, 100 different countries as well. It's a large community, so people from all over the world cooking together, eating together, working together, doing life together. So that was a wonderful environment to live in.
So you like really super cultured. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. I still make many cultural faux pas.
Well, I don't know. The other day I did hear you say something in Spanish.
Yes.
You speak Spanish fluently?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to attempt here.
Okay.
All right. And I apologize for all my Latinas out there. I'm doing the best I can. Hola, ¿dónde estás trabajando?
Hola. He trabajado en varios países. No sé si entendí la pregunta bien.
Wow. So I understood 40% of what you just said.
Okay.
And I probably said that wrong. What I was trying to say. I was trying to say, where do you work?
Yeah. Okay.
Did I say that right?
Yeah. Where are you?
I should have said it at the basics.
Worked.
Let me start at the basics. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo Myron.
Bien. Me llamo Claire or Clara. Mucho gusto, Myron.
Yes. See now, and that's as far as it goes. And then I can't do anything else from there.
It's okay. It's a great start.
I used to get a lot of profanity thrown at me in Spanish. So I learned some of those words, which I won't repeat on the microphone. But I worked with a lot of Mexicans in the States, and they taught me that stuff first.
Yes.
And they used to call me El Niño.
El Niño. Oh, sorry.
Yes. I later found out that means the child.
Yep.
And I don't know what they meant by that, because I definitely was a full-size adult man at the time. So that's cool.
I'm sure it was a term of endearment.
Shout out to Rodrigo. I still remember that. Anyway, so no, that's been good. So I guess culturally, I always want to ask. The meat of this show is asking people how they found moving from another place where the culture is one way and then coming all the way to New Zealand where the culture is another way. Mm. I know you have like a lot of stories to share on that, but I guess if you were to come up with, I guess maybe a good. Let's start with the positives first. Like, what's something that really wowed you or made you fall in love with New Zealand culture?
I love that it is. I mean, it's a stereotype, but it's super laid back. I do feel like it's, people are just laid back and kind of just friendly in a way, which, that's, I have found Auckland to be really friendly. I know it doesn't always get known for that elsewhere in the country, but I have found Auckland quite friendly and people really just easy to be around, chat with.
All people?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I need to know what your idea of friendly is, because I got a total different perspective. Mm-hmm. Friend is a strong word. Mm-hmm. I would say hospitable. Mm-hmm. That's the word I would use to politely challenge that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it probably depends on your perspective. And I think the longer I've been in New Zealand, the more I kind of see the bigger picture within New Zealand. But coming from where we came from, like, our community was wonderful. But I found the city that we lived in Australia not very friendly. You walk down the street and you nod or you smile, and like probably 8 out of 10 times they just look down or look away, or you
should have felt like you were back at home then.
Yeah. Well, no, where I grew up.
Where'd you grow up?
Which was suburban Chicago area. People did smile and say hello. Or like my dad growing up, I love this about him, and he still does it. Like anytime we're at the supermarket, he's asking the person working there how they're doing and how is it, like, just very friendly, very kind. So when we lived in Australia, I didn't find that to be the most friendly or hospitable city I've ever lived in. So coming from there, I found Auckland really friendly, at least in East Auckland. I remember going for walks shortly after we arrived and walking down like the bike path and smiling at people or saying hello or good morning, and people would smile or say good morning back. Good morning. And I was like, yes, thank you.
Did you say that out loud? Because that definitely would have freaked them out. Good morning.
I probably just did a little like happy dance.
Yeah.
While they were walking the other way, so they couldn't see. But
I had some of that when I came originally. I'm glad you brought up the point of perspective, because I actually had someone ask me if I knew Michael Jordan my first week here, and I was on a bus.
Did you do?
No. I was like, my response was? Like, first of all, I appreciated that. Like, they were really nice. They didn't know me. Mm-hmm. And these were young, I think, these were young Pacific Islander boys. Like, these are just, they were super excited. Once they heard my accent, they were just sucked in. They're like, oh, yeah, Chu, you know Michael Jordan, bro. You know Michael Jordan? I was like, bro, if I knew Michael Jordan, I wouldn't be on this bus with you. I can guarantee you right now, I would not be on this bus with you. And they just started laughing. But I think, no, that's true. It's true. It's definitely, overall, I can see it is a friendlier culture than where we're from. Because just to clarify, I am from Chicago, but when I was younger, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. But when I got older, I also grew up in a suburban kind of, environment. And I don't know, I kind of experienced some of the same thing. It was just still that old look at the ground when someone says hi. I still got the same things. So I don't know why that was. Some people had more money then, so they just felt, I don't know what that was about. But when I came to New Zealand, I kind of felt the same way. It was just like people are, I don't know, like, how do I say this without being offensive? People are nicer because they want to be. It's like New Zealand takes pride in being a little bit nicer than the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And they should. Yeah. They got a lot to be proud of here.
It's true.
All right, so unless you want to say something else, we can move on. So let's talk about low points, challenging things. What was it like trying to squeeze your idea of culture into this culture, or did you even have that problem?
Well, I think I did, and probably in many ways still do have that problem. I think it took about 3 of the 4 years. It took almost 3 of them to actually feel like I was settled. And I think a large part of that was finding a church community that we felt at home with, and were able to start making friends. But we had been a part of different mums groups and, groups like that, or other churches. We kind of hopped around churches for a while, and kind of everywhere I went, I felt like I couldn't quite make deep connections.
Tell me about it.
There was you could only go so deep. It was very surface level. So I've struggled with that, and I think, and probably not coincidentally, most of the community that we have, most of the friends, the people we hang out with, spend time with, are other immigrant families. When I look around at all my friends, I'd say one of my better friends is a Kiwi, but a lot of my friends are from all over, not just America. They're international.
Let's dig into that. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you just couldn't go deeper?
I don't know. Somebody tell me. I think, well, my guess, a couple of guesses. One, I think, is that it is easier. You always want to spend time with people that get you and you get. And I think it's easier to understand people that have also lived abroad, or have had other experiences, or have thought about other cultures, or have had those cultural transitions as well. Even if that's not something you're actively talking about, it's just something that's oh, okay, this person gets me, I get them. Yeah. And so I've found us, my husband and I, gravitate more towards people like that. Also, I wonder if, I think, I don't know. No Kiwi has ever told me this, but I think sometimes Americans can be a bit
Come on, spit it out.
I don't think they always are the most likable people in the world.
So we're arrogant people.
Yeah, well, it's lots of different things, but I think, obviously there's the arrogance and the political stuff that can kind of mess with our reputation. So there's preconceived judgments when you just meet someone, but also I think the cultural norms clash sometimes. I think I have offended, probably, I know of at least one Australian that explained it to me very graciously, but I think I probably offend people sometimes.
How?
with
I can understand me being offensive. And anybody watching can understand me being offensive, but you, no, never. At all my interactions with you,
that's
I'm
very
just
kind.
I don't understand.
Well, it sounds silly, but it's the kind of the, how do you say it? I think sometimes Americans' confidence, it can come off as arrogance, but arrogance or confidence or outgoingness can be a bit much. Or the way that we talk about things, I think we're not meaning to brag or boast, but it definitely comes off that way.
The ambition.
To this culture. It's just simple statements. If we're chatting, if we're chatting about the tea that we had this morning, and I were to say, oh, I remember when I was in Nepal, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not me saying, oh, I went to Nepal, but I think,
but is
to
that
someone listening, yes.
That's the tall poppy.
It can come off as boasting. I remember in Australia, the one friend that was gracious enough to kind of explain it was I said something about, I like baking, I'm good at baking. And they're like, oh, you can't say that. I was I can't say that I'm good at baking. No, because it sounds really arrogant. So I think unintentionally, sometimes very subtle cultural differences like that can alienate. So I think, I hope I don't alienate Kiwis, but I wonder if sometimes I'm, not made the best impression.
That's shocking to hear. Because even then, you would have had, if you went to over 20 countries and you live with over 100 cultures over the years, you're probably the most cultured. I know you want to be modest about it, but you're probably one of the most cultured people in this country. And to still have the ability to offend, that says something.
That's talent right there.
I mean, I just think it's a good talk point. I think we need to dig into that. It's just because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to this side being wrong or this side being wrong. I think most of the time we can be objective. We can say, oh, there's something to look at on both sides. But I think in a situation like this, when you have that many, if you have that many cultures, like for me, I changed my mentality when my parents made the decision to, I'm sorry, whoever saw fluff fly from my hand, it's not special effects. I have a new shirt on and it's fluff flying from me. But anyway, I had a new perspective on life when I moved from the city to the suburbs. My parents made the decision to move from the south side of Chicago, where it was a lot of gunfire and a lot of bullets flying. They made the decision to move their children out of that situation and moved us to the south suburbs of Chicago. That changed everything for us. It gave us more opportunities, but more importantly, a bigger perspective, a wider perspective, like you said. So you actually have the same, but like times 50, because you experience so many different cultures. So it's amazing that you can still offend.
I mean, I don't know that I have, but I do wonder, because I do think, like I said, that whole gravitational pull towards other people that are not from here. I find it harder to make friends with Kiwis so far. So any Kiwis listening to this podcast, you can tell me what have I said wrong? What have I done? But I think, I think this cultural stuff is really, really hard to see. You just can't see beyond your own culture. And so I don't, it's just a blind spot, I think for all of us, we all have our cultural blind spots. We can't even imagine or think in someone else's culture, because we just don't have that lens until someone shows us or we experience it. Or so I think if I've offended or annoyed Kiwis because of my American character, it's not their fault that that's annoying to them, because they can't. That's the only way they can see, unless they get to know or interact or something breaks that lens and they can see in a different way, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. So you wouldn't really call it you can't really have you don't really have a real pinpoint moment of a low point. Like, this is a low point for me with my culture meeting this culture. You don't really have that, do you? Based on what you're saying? Yeah. No. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I wish I can say the same. Moving on. Okay, so your favorite part or place to visit in New Zealand and why?
My favorite place that I have visited is Kaikoura in the South Island.
Why is that?
It's just beautiful, and I mean, I've only been there once for a couple of days, but I'd love to go back. It's a small town of just amazing wonders. Like, there's this path that you can walk not far from the highway where you just walk up into the trees, and there's this waterfall, and at the bottom of the waterfall are all these baby seals. They're just hanging out there because their moms are out.
Baby seals
out
at the bottom of a waterfall.
Yeah, because the water runs from the waterfall to the ocean. So the mums swim their babies up to this like pool, drop them off, and then go fishing. And so it's just like a seal nursery. It's incredible. It's just the most amazing sight in the world. And it's
Can I drop my children off?
If they know how to swim, yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe not. No, that sounds really cool. I would love to go check that out. I've always wanted to see the South Island. Obviously, because Lord of the Rings. I mean, I've always wanted to go and see all of that. Like, I've only been to Christchurch. Really can't count that as seeing the South Island.
What?
That is South Island, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's only
it's not really South Island.
It's like going to Chicago and saying you've seen the States. There's a lot more to see.
Yeah, I want to go. I want to see like the stuff that's on the postcards. Like, I want to see that beautiful. Even though I probably won't climb a mountain, I want to at least go
take a picture of it.
Take a picture of that mountain that I won't climb. Just to get a nice 4K image of it. All right. Okay, my favorite part of the show, Kiwiism. Okay, so Kiwiism. What is this is the part where we talk about like something that is strictly New Zealand. It's only done in New Zealand. It's only found in New Zealand, but you just can't seem to get your head wrapped around it. Like, it can be funny, it can be serious, it can be, but whatever it is, like, what is it that, like, do you have that one thing or two things?
I'm
Like we had a guy before we were talking about sausage sizzles. Just couldn't get his head wrapped around that because, you know, and that was pretty funny considering the fact that I never even thought about it, but you won't find that anywhere in the States. No one's standing outside of Home Depot.
Frying up sausages.
Up sausages. If they did, they would be laughed at like all day.
Yeah.
But here it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. And it's like, but it's just something like that. Like if you have something like a cultural aspect, like just something that you love, either you love it, hate it, or you just think it's weird.
I didn't think about this beforehand, so I'm struggling to really think of any examples other than, I mean, this is quite mundane, but signing my son up for school, realized that like almost every school here has a pool, and they learn how to swim at school. Like that is amazing because I had lots of friends.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of friends in university who were like 18, 19, 20, did not know how to swim, you know? And that's because why would you? Like, unless your mom signed you up for classes at the YMCA.
This is true.
So, you know, for most kids to get an opportunity to learn at least the basics of swim because it's a country surrounded by water, like, I think that was really cool.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that my kids can, you know, take advantage of that.
I'm 35. I'll be 36 this year, and I still don't know how to swim.
Really? We can teach you.
I still don't know how to swim. I'm like a turtle. I can swim underwater. Like I'm really good underwater. Like I'm like Olympic level underwater. Jacques Cousteau. Like you want me to deep dive and get something, I can do that. But as far as like the Titanic situation where it's 300 people treading water, I'm Jack. I'm going under. I'm Jack. Never let go, Rose. I'm going under. You can come get me. But yeah, I don't know how to tread water. I don't understand the concept of treading water. I've tried it. I don't understand it at all. And it's supposed to be the easiest thing out of everything else. And I'm like, man, I just don't get it. I can even do the laps, like going back and forth, when, you know, doing the flipper thing. Mm-hmm. I can do that.
Okay. So
you look like you don't believe me.
You just got to bring flippers with you when you go to the beach.
I don't need flippers. My feet are big enough and they're wide enough for me to get the surface area of the water. But I'm saying I can't swim, and it's kind of embarrassing because if one of my kids were drowning, I had to just, you know, look at them like, man, that's messed up.
You just got to go underwater and then
go underwater,
up, you know,
and then we both
like
drown.
a baby sea.
I'm gonna save them for 3 seconds. It's really bad. But anyway, I digress. Okay, we're making really good time. So immigration hacks. So if you had an immigration hack for someone who is a potential newbie here in New Zealand, considering the fact that the borders will be opening soon or kind of already started to slowly open. I've already talked to my brother like 17 times trying to get him to come over here. Even if you want to talk to future Americans that want to come here, like, do you have any, not just Americans, anybody, like, you know, do you have anything you want to say, like an immigration hack, something that...
I mean, I don't know if I should be saying this, but I do think not supposed to come in on a tourist visa, but you know, if you want to just see what New Zealand's like, come and test the waters a bit first, and then you can go from there. Like, that was, we had not intended to permanently establish ourselves here. We were staying temporarily, and then we were going to go to the States. And as we settled in here, we felt like, why would we want to leave? Like, why would we? This is a great place to live. It's a great place to raise kids. So the tourist visa became an extended tourist visa, and then it became a partner visa, which was a 2-year visa, and then it became applying for residence. So it's always just been this gradual process for me. That has been quite smooth. Lots of paperwork. But I haven't had to leave New Zealand in all of that time. I've just been able to take one step at a time, decide, we want to stay here a bit longer. No, actually, this is home. Let's time to become a resident. And next step is working on permanent residency and maybe citizenship someday. Luke is not a citizen either. He's still a permanent resident. Only one in his family that hasn't moved on to the next category.
No, that's cool. The tourist visa, is that the same as the visitor visa?
Yeah, sorry, that's probably not technically what it's called, tourist visa, but the visitor visa. It's like a 90 day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came here on the visitor visa as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to go back after 90 days, which sucks because that's when I met the love of my life, and I had to actually leave her after falling in love. So it's just, that's the only bad thing. You only get 90 days. Like, so, and we actually started a relationship towards the end of my trip. So, like, the first 6 months of our relationship was on Skype, which happens to a lot of New Zealand lovers. Like, you got to just have these long distance relationships. Yeah, it's not ideal. It really,
Yeah.
long distance. Oh, Skype, man.
Yeah. Zoom now.
Yeah, Zoom. All those like video call ones. But I guess we can begin to land the plane here. So, what other advice would you give new immigrants or future immigrants?
I guess the biggest thing is to try to find a community as soon as you can. I think we're made for community. We're made for people. All people are people, even if they don't think they are. We need people to function and to live and to be well. And I think that in my experience, that has been the hardest thing, is wanting community and struggling to find it, but kept at it and kept looking and kept pursuing people until we found kind of a relational home. And that would be my advice to anyone coming from somewhere else. And it might be that their community is people from their own home country, or it could be a community of people that do pub quizzes, or like whatever link it is, something that connects you, but connect with people here.
Connecting with you.
Because we can't, we're not meant to do life alone, I don't think.
Yeah, and we definitely, my wife and I has definitely connected with you and your hubby very well, and we're so grateful for y'all, because it's just like, it's like a breath of fresh air when you finally have someone you connect to, because New Zealand people are very friendly, like you said, just to summarize, very friendly, very welcoming and accommodating to other cultures, but at the same time, that water is shallow. Like, it's just like you hit a hard stop real fast over here, and it's not that anything's wrong with New Zealand. It's not that anything's wrong with where we're from. It's just it's one of those things we haven't really worked out yet. Like, how do you actually assimilate?
It's really hard obstacles to overcome, really. Yeah.
What I have found, though, funny enough, is using some of that terminology seems to make them feel more comfortable.
Okay.
Like when you say sort it out versus figure it out.
Okay.
When you say car park versus parking lot. It's the same thing. But when you say it like that, it brings you into their world.
It's a good one. Sausage sizzle.
I got plenty of Kiwiisms. I can go down the list. Like, I literally can sit here and interview myself. Like, that would make me look crazy. But that's how many Kiwiisms, and like, I've learned so much of being here. But New Zealand has helped me be a better person overall. I was really critical when I got here of everything. I was so full of myself when I got here. And this place has a way of politely breaking you down to size. So that unnecessary ego that America has, like, New Zealand knows how to break that off over time. But then it's just like, still some things, like, that's why we're having this podcast, because there's still some things that we need to discuss and all that. But people who are coming over here, they're coming over here for a better life. And for the most part, they're coming over here for the lifestyle. Yeah. And you guys stayed because of the lifestyle. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. When we came 2018, we'd just left, like, the States during the we were there for the election, the Clinton-Trump election, and
that was a fun one.
Whoa, my goodness! It was, and then and just a lot of upheaval in the States, and just a lot going on. So coming here and having a baby and just doing life for a season just felt like it's just a sweet place. It's a sweet place to live. New Zealand is really just a sweet place to be. So we've really enjoyed it.
It's overall, like, obviously I have my thoughts about what the government does and how they do it, but other than that, after you get done yelling at the TV, you can go to like a place like Music Point, you know, and just look at the ocean. Like, you know, you just can't get that many. Well, at least not in Chicago anyway. You're not gonna get these type of views. It's amazing. Like, what was that place that we went to when Luke had that asthma attack?
Oh yeah, Kite Kite Falls.
Kitty.
I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I'm probably saying it wrong too. I'm sorry, guys. Don't email me. Kitty Falls. It's out west, somewhere out west.
Yeah, near P.
Come on, guy, help me out. I know you're in the background. Come on, help me out now. I'm making a fool of myself. Kitty Falls. It's in the back. We have a Kiwi in the studio who's hiding behind the camera. He won't help me out. But it's a beautiful place, and we're just trying to pronounce it right. But anyway, that's a funny story. Can I just tell the story real quick? Like, actually, it's not a funny story. I don't know why I said that. It's not a.
It's funny in retrospect. It's one of those, you know, live to tell the tale.
Transition. We actually, me and my wife and Claire and her husband Luke, we literally we took our kids and their kids and we took them. It has this nice, like, the plan was to go on this nice, beautiful hike. It's gonna be great. It's waterfalls and it's a trail. You can go up hills. You can be in the forest and you did, and we did all of that. And we did, and the kids loved it. However, Luke forgot his inhaler.
Yep.
And that was my first day. Found out that he was asthmatic.
Yep.
So what happened was me and Luke were trying to catch up with the rest of the family because we had went to get some coffee or something like that. When we left for a while, we were looking for our wives and our kids. And then we just going through. We took the longest way possible. And then this is actually my fault, like, thinking back on it. Me, like, I become like this fitness freak because of my job. At my job, my boss forces us to work out. So all of us are like fitness freaks at the office. So we just running. So I'm constantly running, working on my run time, 4K, 5K, 6K. So I'm running up this hill. Right. I'm getting a kick out of it. Like, come on, Luke. Come on, man. Keep up. And he's just like, yeah, I'm coming. And he's trying to come. And then by the time he gets to the top, he did catch up to me, but he was not looking good. And he's just like, I'm just like, bro, what's going on with you? I didn't even know he had asthma. And he's like, yeah, I forgot my inhaler. And I was like, what inhaler? What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Since when did you take an inhaler? I've never seen you puff anything in your life. And he's like, yeah, I'm asthmatic. It's mild. I'm usually having it under control. And I'm kid you not, man. It turned into an emergency really quick. By the time we get to Claire and the kids, like, she realizes what's happening. He sits down, and then we look and we realize it's getting worse.
He's like, he can't talk at this point.
And he couldn't even talk at this point, and it's just like, oh my gosh, man.
So Myron, I love Myron, like, this is a redeeming aspect of being an American. You're like, hey, does anybody have an inhaler? Like, there's no being shy or polite or, like, it was just like, do you have an inhaler? Do you have an inhaler? I was like, oh, dude, okay, that's a good idea.
This man is about to die. Does anybody have an inhaler?
Oh my goodness. And no one did. So then we had to walk 45 minutes
it was the
back
scariest
through the forest. Just hoping, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was the scariest thing. And then when we get down to that bottom part, Luke is sitting down, looking like he's trying to take his last 4 breaths. And like you're trying not to panic, and the kids are being kids, and we just like, man, oh man. And then this lady walked by. Did you ask her? You just randomly asked her?
I pulled your strategy, and I just started who passed.
Anybody came by, you just kept asking people, and then that lady happened to have one, and it was just like, that was such a godsend. I was just like, man. She's like, yep, got one. Took a couple of puffs, and he was fine, and I was like, man.
Yep.
If it wasn't for that lady, I don't know. Like, we probably would be telling a different story right now.
He would definitely been, probably in the hospital. But that's a difference. Not maybe, I guess it's a cultural difference. But I am amazed at the fitness level of Kiwis, and the love of the outdoors and outside. Nature. Oh my goodness! And I have had to learn to kind of translate expectations. So like that day, it was a major lesson. It said like a 20-minute walk to the falls. It's like, sign says falls that way, 20 minutes, And I'm like, okay, cool, we can do that. It was not 20 minutes, but our crew, I mean, we had little children with us walking on foot, so they slowed us down a bit. But even if I was on my own, it would have taken me longer than that. So I have to add at least 15 minutes to the expected journey time if I'm doing a hike in New Zealand. And then also I love the outdoorsy, love of nature. It was the place that we went was described as a nice swimming spot. So that's why I wanted to go and take the kids, and we'll finish the hike with a swim under the water, like near the waterfall, and it'll be lovely. And but it was just all rocky, like
slippery rocks,
like shallow, deep, shallow.
Hurt my ankle.
There's no like sand or soft. It was just like rocky. So the kids were doing their best, but they were just kind of climbing on rocks and falling into the water, and trying to walk, but they couldn't. So it was just all a bit, very, very, very adventurous for our crew.
I wish I can rewrite that. Whatever you read, I wish I can rewrite it myself. If your family and your children are like Bear Grylls, this is for you.
Yeah.
All of you guys are fit, and your kids have a 6-pack, and you have an 8-pack, and all of you guys run every day, and you like climbing mountains. This is for you. But if you watch Netflix 6 hours a day and you eat snacks and you have a healthy diet of Doritos and chocolate chip cookies,
do not attempt.
This is not for you. If we read that, we would have been like, "Oh, that's us." The second lot, that's us. The Netflix and cookies ones.
Yeah,
that's not okay. We're gonna go somewhere else. Let's go to a local pool somewhere, and something 6 feet deep max, and just leave it at that. But yeah, that's the difference. But no, you're right. The Kiwis, it was like 6 or 7 families that passed us that happened to be hiking.
They had kids in the backpack.
Kids on their backpack.
Yeah.
Like everybody was hiking. Everybody was just in it to win it. And we were just there trying to survive.
They were like very, that like kind of like, like feeling pity. Yeah, they were pitied us.
You. Oh, you silly little
because we were also carrying because again, I'm learning what to expect on a nature walk in New Zealand. But we had like the nappy bag and a backpack of snacks, and then I think the kids had brought a soccer ball that they wanted to kick around, on the beach near the waterfall, which there was no beach. It was just no rocks and water.
There may have been a beach off one of those cliffs that we almost died on.
We should have. We should have done more off-roading, yeah. And I almost had like the camp chairs as well. Like it was just too much stuff. And it became clear about 15 minutes into the walk that we had way too much stuff and that we did not know what we were getting into, because everyone else was just like bare minimum, like just their water bottle and their, themselves. That was basically it.
The backpacks. Yeah. Everyone had a backpack. That's why you kept asking for the inhaler, because you were like, it's bound to be an inhaler on one of these damn backpacks.
Because it's just essentials. Water, inhaler, stuff to keep you alive.
Well, look, Claire, obviously we can do this all night. I don't want to take up all of your time. I just want to thank you so much for coming on to the show. You've been an awesome guest. And maybe we'll have you back on season 2.
Cool.
Because on season 2, we get into some more juicier topics.
Okay.
They're going to let me off the leash in season 2. Let's see what yeah, this is the watered down version of me. But no, thank you so much. And we're going to end it. I am Myron Turner. This is the Immigration Status Podcast 5. And tune in for episode 6. Episode 5, done and dusted. This has been a crazy journey. I'm telling you guys, I'm getting a lot out of this. If you're not getting anything out of it, then maybe you should just stop watching. But no, just joking. I'm pretty sure you're getting something out of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't continue to press play every time this is online. That story from Claire is amazing. She's coming from the same place I'm from, the United States, but also coming from the same city. Actually, had a lot of sentimental value just to have her here. But yeah, she keeps bringing up things that I'm used to hearing on previous episodes. The tall poppy syndrome, and it's interesting that keeps coming up. So my 2 cents or takeaway from it is maybe it's something we need to dive deeper into in future episodes. But anyway, I want to give a special thank you to Claire, and also a special thank you to the Ministries of Ethnic Communities, Uranga, the Navigators Group, and the Campfire Studios for providing this beautiful studio for us to do the show in. Please stay tuned for future content. And if you see the videos and it's actually hitting you and you actually like the videos, like, subscribe, share the content. It's way more things to come. We got one more episode in season 1 to come. That's going to be a special one, and then after that we're headed to season 2. But thank you for all your support so far. If you've been watching the videos or even commenting on the videos, I just thank you so much. Thank you for all the support you guys have been giving so far. I really believe the Immigration Stat Us podcast is going to go huge around the world, so it's your job to help me take it around the world. All right, I'm Myron Turner signing off.